So I don't get it when they say they make characters black, gay, or Filipino so that readers can relate to them. Wave is a big deal here in the Philippines. She's Filipina, but you'd think Filipino
Hmm.
will follow her journey because she's relatable for being Filipina. But I I don't read Wave a lot, but I can relate to Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and it doesn't matter if he's Filipino or not, but his struggles for being like in school, for being financially like not well off, that's very relatable. It doesn't matter what the color of his skin is. So sometimes the writers forget to focus on just making a good story.
Well, I mean, identity politics have taken over everything. It's well, I don't know about so much as here in the Philippines, but certainly in Western culture, that's the primary focus of all these things, and that's really where you see the problem with modern comic writing. Is most of the time, you have the character and you have the story that serves the character, and then these other parts that you want to put in there. If you want to put some type of social commentary, you bend it in and you make it fit within the story. Now they take the
Yep.
character and they bend the character and break the character to the will of the writer and what he's actually trying
Yeah.
to say, whether it fits the character or not. And that's why
Mm.
it doesn't feel right. It feels odd because if you've had a relationship with these characters for decades now, you know
Mm.
when what's going to make them conflicted, how are they going to react to some of these situations. And when that's 180, it takes you right out of the story. And you're right about relating to a character. Like Peter Parker is one of the most relatable characters in the entire in all comics, if not the most relatable. I say it's Nightwing, but I'm more of a DC guy. But Peter Parker,
Okay. Mm.
we've all been teenagers, we've all been awkward, we've all
Yep.
made mistakes, we've all felt guilty, and we've all tried to become better about it and grown up and lived our lives and all these things. And so he's so relatable in the fact that he feels a burden about the responsibility that he holds, and he doesn't want to let people down, but he's constantly put in positions where unfortunately he does let people down. He's flawed in that manner, just like you
Mm.
or I. And I think that's why everybody,
Yeah.
regardless of race, religion, gender, ethnicity, can all really relate to that character because we've all been put in that position, no matter what class we're in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we're just talking about Marvel. Does DC fare any better? The rumor before in DC is the 5G launch, and maybe it's their vision. It's the same as, maybe it's like the all new, all different version. Because Marvel have that before, right? The all
Mm-hmm.
new, all different Marvel, and DC was supposed to do the 5G launch, but they seem to repackage it to future state. What happened here?
Well, what happened was 5G was Dan Didio, the former publisher at DC Comics. So at
Mm,
Marvel, like the head person is the editor in chief. At DC, it's always been the publisher, and he was
mm,
essentially the co-publisher with Jim Lee, but he was also like the chief creative officer. And he wanted
mm,
to like really streamline DC continuity. They've tried to do this over and over; it never works. And his idea was we were
mm,
going to jump ahead into the future of the DC universe with this Generation 5 event that was going to last for
mm,
quite a bit of time, and then we were going to go back to where we were before.
mm,
But as that was the ball was rolling on that, there were some issues with Dan Didio within DC Comics that I guess went up to like Warner Media, who owns DC Comics underneath the AT&T
mm.
umbrella, where there were some HR issues with
Uh,
Dan Didio, and I don't think the performance at DC was very good. So he got fired abruptly. Well, they had all this
mm, mm,
stuff that was going to be 5G, so they repackaged it as future state because they had to get something out.
mm,
They'd already paid the artist, they'd already written some stuff, so
mm,
they
mm,
they changed it. They were like,
mm,
okay, well, it'll be like a 2 or 3 month event, and then we'll get back. But
mm,
what's been weird is as we've gotten back, we're just moving towards future
mm.
state. And as you mentioned, the all new, all
Yeah.
different in Marvel, where they essentially changed out all the heroes with new, more gender and ethnically diverse characters, or a lot of
Mm,
sexual orientation changes and things like that, where they removed, uh, you know, essentially everybody but Peter Parker as the main heroes. Like, Tony Stark was gone, and all that kind of stuff. They're
Yes.
doing
Yep.
the same thing with DC. Bruce Wayne's going to
Yeah.
leave Gotham, so Jace Fox will be the new Batman. Superman has already
Mm.
left Earth. He's going to World, so John Kent is going to be the new
Mm.
Superman. Well, you say, well, he's not diverse. Well, now he's
Mm.
LGBTQ. He just came out this week.
Yeah.
We're
Yep.
having
Yep.
Arthur Curry, the Aquaman, is giving up to become a stay-at-home dad. Nothing wrong with that. That's what I do.
Mm. Mm.
And
Mm.
Jackson Hyde is replacing him. LGBTQ plus black
Mm.
character. And so
Yep.
they've essentially
Yep.
moved out the old Justice League and replaced them all.
Mm.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I saw your video, and we talked about you just mentioned Superman. John Kent came out gay, and Tom Taylor said he's going to fight climate change. So a few months ago, we have Robin as well, who came out
Mhm.
bisexual. Not only does DC promote the LGBT agenda, Nightwing is now also a socialist. There seems to be this trend now that
Yes.
they're serving. I'm not sure who they're serving. Do the fans love this, or
Well,
I
certainly
watched? Yeah.
longtime DC fans who look for a hopeful universe
Mm.
that want the characters that they've been reading for decades are not being served by this because they're doing wholesale
Mm.
changes, and they're
Mm.
certainly presenting a new agenda that is very much propping up modern day, you know, um, identity
Mm.
politics, social activism, and things like that. And they're putting them into their characters. You mentioned Nightwing. You mentioned
Mm.
John Kent. Certainly, John Kent has talked to Damian Wayne, and he's all behind it too. And
Mm.
there's definitely part of this push within entertainment that we've been seeing probably for the last decade as it's gotten progressively ramped up to where everything
Mm.
has to have a social agenda that's far beyond entertainment first, and that's I think why we're seeing a lot of degradation.
Mm. And they say finally Superman would now be able to put Lex Luthor behind bars when he commits the most heinous of all heinous crimes, and that is hate speech. So
That'll probably be an issue, won't it?
Hi, this is Jay Aruga of the Jay Aruga Show. If you like what you just saw, please consider subscribing and smash that like button. We'll need all of your help to take back the culture from this ideological colonization of the West. Thank you.